Hi guys, how's it going? Today I wanted to tackle something, or attempt to tackle something that is a little bit complicated, and in this video I wanted to talk about the teaching license for teaching in Thailand. Teaching English in Thailand comes with many complications, and possibly one of the most complicated of these complications is dealing with the teacher's license. And in fact, if you're a new teacher or you've only been teaching for 1 or 2 years, you probably haven't even heard of the teaching license. So let's jump in right there. Let's outline what exactly the teaching license is for Thailand. Simply put, it's a legal requirement for educators. It's like your passport to the world of teaching in this beautiful country. The Thai Ministry of Education oversees this process and ensures that educators meet certain standards. The reason why, if you are a new teacher or you've been teaching only for a couple of years, why you probably haven't heard of, or you may not have heard of, the teaching license is because new teachers get a teaching license waiver, sometimes also called a temporary teaching license. The temporary teaching license waiver, or the temporary teaching license, whatever you want to call it, they last for a length of 2 years, and you don't only get one of these, you get 3. So you get a maximum of 3 temporary or teaching license waivers. The temporary teaching permit can be applied for a total of 3 times, giving a new teacher in Thailand up to 6 years of teaching on temporary teaching permits to prepare and become qualified to apply for the standard teaching license. When it comes to reapplying for the temporary teaching license, you may be required to show proof of teacher development, so attending those teacher seminars your school will ask you to do is undoubtedly a good idea. So if you've just started, your school has probably applied for a teaching license waiver or a temporary teaching license permit on your part, and it's not something they probably even discuss with you. Given that there are more pressing matters, more pressing documents such as your visa and work permit that you must secure first, the teaching license may be something that gets put on the shelf to be discussed with you later. Given that you can get up to a maximum of 6 years to get ready and qualified for the full teaching license, it's not going to be something that your new school or new employer is going to be focused on right away. Initially, all of this is likely going to be done by your school and may fly under the radar for new teachers as you adapt to living in a new country and starting a new job, and you will probably be focusing on more pressing documents like your visa and work permit. But be warned, as neglecting to consider the teaching license may come back and bite you further down the line of your teaching career and cut short your stay in Thailand. It really is important to get yourself qualified to apply for the standard teaching license well before your temporary waivers expire. So in this introduction, I've mentioned 2 teaching licenses already, the teaching license waiver or temporary teaching license and the standard teaching license. So maybe we can look at them individually so you can get a better idea of what exactly each one of those are. Let's begin with the temporary teaching license, also known as the teaching license waiver. As mentioned before, the temporary teaching license is for new teachers in Thailand, and your school should have no problems getting your initial 2-year temporary teaching license as long as you meet the requirements of employment. The bare minimum of those requirements being a university degree and a teaching certificate, such as a TEFL certificate. Remember, you can apply for a 2-year temporary teaching license 3 times in total, but after your first, you may be required to show proof of development. Certificates from teacher training seminars are usually accepted, and it is likely your school will host or receive a couple per year. So if you're just starting out, you're going to need your university degree and your teaching certificate, such as a TEFL certificate. For your first teaching license waiver or temporary teaching license, that should be enough to get you accepted for your first one. And like I said, you can apply for up to 3 2-year temporary teaching licenses. After the first one, you may need to show proof of development. This would be like certificates from those seminars that your school will most definitely put on. When I was working in schools in Thailand, we would get multiple teaching seminars, so don't worry too much about that. You'll probably be encouraged by your English department or by the school to attend certain seminars on the topic of teacher development. And at the end of each of these, you get a certificate. Keep hold of them, take a picture, make a copy, so that if you're asked when the school is applying for your 2nd or 3rd temporary teaching license, you can show them to the Ministry of Labour. The temporary teaching license will be applied for on your behalf by the school that employs you. In fact, it's possible you would go through your first year without being told anything about this document, but don't be lulled into a false sense of security. Although it is largely the school's responsibility to apply for the license, it is your responsibility to make sure you are qualified to apply for the standard teaching license before you run out of temporary options, something that unfortunately may not have been voiced to you. This is why I'm making this video. I've met multiple people who have gotten to 4, 5, 6 years of teaching in Thailand. They didn't understand the teaching license situation completely, and it is pretty tricky to get all the details on how to apply for the standard or how to become qualified fully for the fully standard teaching license. And if you run out of your teaching license waivers, you can no longer teach in Thailand. So this could really affect you. It could really cut short your plans, and it could be something you're really not expecting and didn't realize if your school don't voice it to you. Now, if you have been teaching in Thailand for a year or two already and you want to check your teaching license status, like how many temporary teaching licenses have been applied for on your behalf and where you're up to, there is a website that you can check that information on. I'll leave a link to that website in the description of this video. And I'll also show you that website right now. All right, so as I mentioned, and I hope you can hear me all right, I've jumped into my office/bedroom so I can show you on the computer what I was talking about when I told you you could check your teaching waiver license status. So what you want to do, and I'll leave a link to this website in the description of the video, and you're going to come over to this website. Now this website is completely in Thai, so it is going to be a little bit difficult, but you can use some translation tools online, or if you're fortunate enough to have some Thai speaking friends, then get them to help check it. If you're working at a school, take this to someone at your school who can help you decipher it. So what you have to do is to first type in your passport number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This obviously isn't my passport number. I don't want to share that sensitive information, but what you do is put your passport number in there, and then you want to check the bottom two buttons and hit this button down here. And like I said, I haven't put in my real passport number or anything, so this is just showing the generic information. It would have the teaching licenses applied for, or the teaching license waivers, temporary teaching licenses applied for, listed here, and you should be able to get a reasonable understanding of where you're up to if your school isn't able to provide you with that information. So this website could be very useful to you, so definitely check it out if you're a teacher and you have been working for a year or two already. Now, there is one final thing about the temporary teaching license or the teaching license waivers that I really want to mention and I really want to highlight, and that is that if you change schools, you could lose a year on your teaching licenses. So this could be something else that trips you up and catches you out. This actually happened to me because I worked at a school for 3 years, moved schools, started working at a different school, and I didn't realize that my teaching license was, well, I understood that my teaching license was cancelled and I had to apply for a new one when I started working at a different school. What I didn't realize was that because I was halfway through my 2-year teaching license, that the license got cancelled and I lost that year. So I applied for my first 2-year license, worked for 2 years at that school. Then on my 3rd year teaching, I applied for a new teaching license waiver or temporary teaching license. After 1 year, I moved schools, and that whole teaching license waiver was cancelled, and I lost that. So that counted as 4 years, even though I'd only been teaching for 3 years, and I didn't realize that, and that was something that nearly caught me out. So that's something else that I really want to mention. If you leave, if you cancel your teaching license for any reason, if you change schools perhaps, and it's not like the complete 2 years, you will lose 1 year. So please, 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 please try to remember that. So that is the best I can do at describing the temporary teaching license or the teaching license waivers. Let's talk now about the second teaching license, which is the main one. That is the standard teaching license for Thailand. The standard teaching license for Thailand is a 5-year teaching license that allows you to teach in Thailand and should be considered the goal for new teachers working in Thailand. Like we mentioned, you are granted temporary teaching license for up to a maximum of 6 years so that you have time to make yourself qualified to apply for the standard teaching license. So if you're wondering why there's like a temporary teaching license or a teaching license waiver and a standard teaching license, that's so that you can come here, start working, and as you're working, as you're developing as a teacher in Thailand, as you're getting used to the Thai curriculum, you can then begin to prepare yourself, and then you can then begin to study and become qualified for the standard teaching license. So they give you like a window to get all of that done. This isn't something that's often voiced to you or explained well to you, especially when you're first starting out. Maybe it is mentioned and you're focused on a million other things. But yeah, some agencies and some English departments won't clarify this too well for you, and it's also not that clear. These rules have changed a lot over the last few years even. Now, as a side note, if you're a fully qualified teacher already, if you've been working as a teacher in your home country, you may be able to apply for the standard teaching license directly. You may not need to go onto the teaching license waiver, so this could be a big advantage for you. The first route through the standard teaching license waivers would be for people who have studied at university and gained a degree and have a teaching certificate, such as a TEFL certificate, but don't have a master's in education or don't have an equivalent teaching license from their home country. So just to reiterate, if you're fully qualified to teach in your home country and you're coming from a country like the UK or America or a few other countries, then you could well find that you're able, or your school is able to, on your behalf, apply directly for the standard teaching license. But for those of you who are coming from a temporary or a teaching license waiver, the TCT, the Teaching Council of Thailand, have put together a full list of things required from you to apply for a standard teaching license. So I'm going to go through that list right now. So this is taken directly from the TCT, the Teaching Council for Thailand, and their list of requirements for attaining a standard teaching license are that you first are not younger than 20 years of age. Second, have academic qualifications in one of the following. So you have a degree in education or its equivalent. You have a degree in another field and a teaching license from your country. You have a degree in another field and a graduate diploma in teaching profession with 1 year of course study. You have a degree in another field and have passed other professional certification in accordance with the professional standards of the Teachers Council of Thailand. You must also have continued experience in teaching of not less than 1 year. You must have a Thai work permit. Also, you must have evidence showing that you have been permitted to stay in Thailand. And finally, you must not possess any of the prohibited characteristics described to Section 44 of the Teachers and Educational Personnel Council Act BE 2003. And those are having improper behaviour or immorality, being an incompetent or quasi-incompetent person, or have been sentenced to imprisonment in any case, in the opinion of the Teachers Council of Thailand, which may bring dishonour upon the profession. So there is quite a bit of grey area in there, and that is sometimes where a few issues arise. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope this video has shone a light on the teaching license. I hope this, if nothing else, sparks your interest and gets you looking into the teaching license for yourself, because like I say, this does trip up a few people. I hope it doesn't trip up you. And if you are currently teaching in Thailand and you weren't aware of any of this, please go to that link in the description, check your teaching license waiver status, make sure you've not run out, and you start getting back on track to continue your life as an English teacher in Thailand. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you.